This is a Dragon Blazer production, and I am the little boogeyman.
All right. Coming down the aisle, it's the podcast tag team champions of the world, the Rage and Blaze Show. Welcome to another exciting episode of the Rage and Blaze Show. I'm Rage.
And I'm Blaze.
Are you sure? You had to think about it?
Well, I wasn't sure.
Okay, fair
Maybe
enough.
I don't want to be Blaze anymore.
Well, you're Blaze. We've made the logo, we've made the commitment, the advertisements.
Fine.
You're stuck as Blaze. Today we are going to go back in time to 1994 to watch the second annual King of the Ring pay-per-view. It's a new year, so it's a new crop of video games. So the last video game we have to cover for the year of 1994, we'll go ahead and get to it because we don't have any other wrestling pay-per-views to talk about currently right now anyhow. So we're going to go ahead and get to our last video game of the 1994 year. Video games are starting to really heat up. I can't wait. We're getting closer and closer to the games that we really, really got into growing up, you know? So I'm excited to do the video game part of our show. I hope you guys are excited to hear about the video game part of our show because that was part of our love of wrestling growing up, was to play the video games that were attached to the shows and to the wrestling that we enjoyed watching on TV. And watching those wrestling games grow, I remember every year getting the new Nintendo Power magazine or the Game Informer magazine and thinking, oh my gosh, do you see these graphics on the next game? These guys look real! And then they just looked more real.
Always
and more
wrong.
real. We were always wrong, but we thought they just looked amazing in the magazine. Now we can go on YouTube and watch the trailers to the games. It's just such a different world we live in now.
It is.
But anyhow, so the game we're going to go and cover is WCW The Main Event, released for the Nintendo Gameboy back in 1994. This was the second video game released by World Championship Wrestling and the first of two released to a handheld console. We watched some videos, and to be honest, I really kind of like the animation. The animation looks...
well, some of it.
some of it. But I like they kind of have big heads and little bodies. They just kind of look like little cartoony versions of wrestlers. Each player has their own set moves. They each have a punch, clothesline, body slam, suplex, drop kick, cross body block. They have their own special moves also, their unique special moves. You have the wrestlers that are in this is Rick Rude, Ron Simmons, Stunning Steve Austin, Sting, Dustin Rhodes, Johnny B. Bad, Big Van Vader, and Rick and Scott Steiner. So I believe if I counted that right, that would be a total of 9 wrestlers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 9 wrestlers. And of course the Steiner brothers was in this game even though they had already left for WWF. But apparently it was too late. They couldn't get them removed from the game by the time the game released.
Same with the last one we played.
Probably same with the last one. But this article actually explains that a little bit more. There's 2 types of matches. You can do a set number of falls, which I thought was very unique. You can do best of a 1, 3, or 5 falls. Or you can set a time limit, 5, 10, or 15-minute time limits. So I thought that was kind of neat. You also can choose between a single match or an elimination match. The elimination match is basically a gauntlet going through every wrestler on the roster. You got to remember it's a Game Boy game. There's not a lot of options here. But for it being a Game Boy game, I really liked the way it looked. It didn't look like it played very bad. Once again, this is one of them games we had never played growing up. I mean, I'd love to hear your opinion on if you had played this game and if you had fond memories from playing this game. Blaze, I feel like there's something you want to say.
Yeah, a little bit. I know one person who probably did not have a lot of fun playing this game, and that was Ron Simmons playing his character on this game. Because I'm trying to think of the best way to describe it. I believe they call it blackface, is exactly how Ron Simmons is portrayed in this Game Boy game. Like, you have Ron Simmons, and he's literally, like, they don't even try to make him look realistic. He's literally a walking caricature. He is pitch black, and very offensive.
Yeah, it's kind of surprising we've never heard anything about it because it is literally just a black, like, pitch black character on the video game. There's no shading of any kind to make him look a little bit more
real.
I mean, this is a Game Boy game, but it just looked off the way they created that character. It kind of looked like one of them old-timey cartoons, that people are banning today. They
and they should.
And they should. I'm just saying, but that's what it looked like, was one of them cartoons that are all black and everything. Those character cartoons back in the, what would you say, the 40s, 30s, whenever that, all that was going on.
I started watching the old, when I got HBO Max, I started watching the original Looney Tunes, like even before they were Looney Tunes, they were Merry Melodies. And, I was watching those and like, they skip episodes like crazy because of racism. They skipped episodes because a lot of their old episodes featured like these very black caricatures in them. Now, I mean, I had to look that up because they just don't explain it on HBO Max. They just straight up, I think the first season's like two or three episodes because, and there was like 16 episodes of that season. And all the other ones had been taken off for some kind of reason. And that's what we have going on here with Ron Simmons. Like, how did Ron Simmons feel when, like, did they ask him for his likeness? And the weird thing is they had like a small picture of him in the right. Well, I guess it would depend on where you played them, but in the video we watched, they had their pictures at the bottom, and luckily, the picture of Ron Simmons looks like as Ron best Simmons. You can do as a pixelated version of Ron Simmons, but his character that you wrestle with, straight, it's racist. I mean, I don't even know how else to put it. Like, it's straight up a black caricature.
Yeah, they didn't do a great job here. And it's funny how society works because things don't get highlighted until people mention it.
Well, I think this might be an issue of people don't know about this game.
Well, that's kind of where I'm saying is, like, right now, a lot of old stuff gets brought up because of streaming services. People want to watch old shows and things get brought up because people rewatch them and they're like, wait a second, this is bad. So things get brought up and they get banned or they get edited or whatever. Obviously right now the WWE Network is going through that where a lot of the old WWE segments are being edited or taken out completely, like the DX thing that they did with the Nation of Domination. Sean Waltman.
Did you find out whether they actually did take it out?
Yeah, it's gone. It's gone. So yeah, the things like that got taken out. Rowdy Piper's WrestleMania match against Mr. T. I think it was Mr. T. It was Bad News.
When he did blackface,
Bad News Brown.
He
did half blackface.
I'm pretty sure we touched on that. We
watched it on WWE Network.
Yeah, we touched on that.
It is not on Peacock. They've removed that match on Peacock. So my point is that things like this don't get brought up until it's brought up in a broader light. And that's unfortunate, but that's the reality that we live in. There's no streaming video game service that's letting you play this old Game Boy game. So nobody's nobody's really throwing a fit about it. You know what I mean?
Let's face it. Even if we did have some kind of streaming video games service, I don't think this game is going to be put on that list.
No, probably not.
I'd never heard of this game before this.
In a perfect world, we could get a streaming video games service with every old video game ever.
We should start a movement and bitch about this game.
But anyhow, my point is that until something would bring it to light, like maybe the popularity of our show would bring this into light. Who knows? But the point is that's when change happens, is when it gets brought up in a bigger picture. And unfortunately, it doesn't sound like anybody back in 1994 was throwing a fit about this, I guess. It's hard to say. Might have to do some research and see if there was any kind of gripe.
I kind of would like to look to see if Ron Simmons had any opinions on this.
It'd be very interesting to find out if Ron Simmons has an opinion about it because, and I know it was on a Game Boy system, so the everything is a little different when you're playing on a Game Boy system, but I'm sure they could have done better than this.
Oh, God. I wish they would. Because that was terrible.
Okay, so let's move on to the 1994 King of the Ring. Okay, so the show starts off with a little bit of a comedy sketch with Double J, Jeff Jarrett, predicting the winners on the King of the Ring tournament board. And then, of course, you get Bam Bam that comes in, and IRS. They all, put their 2 cents in. I think there was another. Was that it? Was it just Bam Bam, IRS, Double J? So they all put their 2 cents in on who they think is going to win the King of the Ring tournament. But then we go to the announcement that Ricky Medlock, lead singer of Blackfoot.
Yeah, this is the next comedy segment.
He does the national anthem, and it is
absolutely frickin' terrible.
It was pedestrian at best. We've heard worse.
If you want to say "I hate America" without saying "I hate America," you have Ricky Medlock do the national anthem.
It's kind of harsh. I just thought he was just mediocre, but okay. I didn't think he completely.
I mean, he's not Rockin' Robin bad, but
spirits. But once again, we have heard worse.
We have heard worse.
It is what it is. So then we move on to our first match, which is a King of the Ring tournament match. It is Razor Ramon versus Bam Bam Bigelow,
the bed guy.
And I thought this was a decent match. It was kind of short. There wasn't a lot to this match. It was just a decent match, but I really liked the way it ended. Just the way it ended was kind of a false ending where you thought Bam Bam Bigelow was going to do his jump off the top rope. I think, he was facing forward, so he must have been wanting to do the flying headbutt. Probably. He also does the moonsault off the top where he'd be facing backwards if he was doing the moonsault. So he must have been preparing to do the flying headbutt. Instead, Razor Ramon almost power bombs him off the top rope into a pinfall, and that's how you get the win. So no Razor's Edge. It was just a very different ending. I really enjoyed the way this match ended. It was just kind of a shocker. I would have gave this probably 3.5 power bombs off the top rope, I guess.
You would have?
I will.
Oh, okay. I was like, well, what do you give it?
No, I'm giving it 3.5. It was a decent match. I really liked the ending.
Yeah, it was all right. We got to see some Bam Bam athletics. You know, he did some enziguris. That was interesting.
Yeah.
We got to see a precursor to a torture rack, a little bit, kind of torture rack-ish.
They didn't call. I don't think they called it anything. Matter of fact, that's something we got to bring up about the commentating. No Vince McMahon. I had to look this up, but it turns out this was during the 1994 steroid scandal. Uh-huh. So Vince McMahon was dealing with the trial. So he stepped away, and Macho Man Randy Savage and Gorilla Monsoon is doing commentating. So I was very little surprised when we didn't hear Vince's voice. Because we hear Vince's voice at every pay-per-view.
Not everyone, but a lot of them.
I can't think of one that we did.
Lately, he's been showing up a lot. But there was a couple pay-per-views where he wasn't the commentator. But he's normally there. Like, possibly, doing other stuff. But, yeah, no Vince McMahon. But, yeah, it was an alright match. I don't know if I say it's 3.5. I would say about, 2.5 not quite torture racks.
Sounds good to me.
Alright.
Okay, the next match we get is IRS versus Mabel from Men on a Mission. And this was, once again, it was just a decent, okay match. Nothing real special. But once again, it was a creative way of ending the match. So far, 2 matches, and both matches are very creative in the way they've ended them. So IRS starts shaking the ropes while Mabel is on the top turnbuckle, and he shakes him to where he falls down, and that's how IRS gets him, rolls him up, and holds on to the ropes for leverage too. He cheats to win here.
Cheats!
But it was just a unique way of finding a way to finish this match. So I enjoyed that part of it. The rest of the match was just there. But once again, nothing bad going on here. They're just lackluster.
I disagree with this assessment that IRS cheated to win. He just took the Bill Belichick school of winning a match. That's all.
You're gonna go there.
That's right. How do I reach these kids?
Oh my gosh. So anyhow, I'm gonna give this probably 2.5 stumbles off the top rope.
Yeah, this match wasn't much. IRS is decent. Mabel's decent. But it's kind of like 2 decent people aren't really elevating it much. And like you mentioned, it does have an interesting ending. Loved the, he holds on to the ropes. Does what it's needed to be done to win and take out Mabel. So I give this 2 Tom Brady's.
What?
Because he's a star like Tom Brady.
Oh my gosh. Okay, just any chance you have to just kind of dig at those guys, 7-time Super Bowl winner, you're just, just dig at him.
Yeah, they take the very special school.
Even though all he does is win, 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 no matter what.
No matter what. Exactly my point.
Move on. Okay, so the next match is between Tatanka and Owen Hart. It is another King of the Ring tournament match. And I thought this one was very exciting. The crowd was really, really into this one. And it was back and forth. There wasn't just one guy that you thought was going to win this match. It was a back and forth, great wrestling, great moves going on. I thought this was great. I really enjoyed this one. I gave it... Owen Hart ends up winning when Tatanka tried to do a sunset flip. Owen countered it into a where he just kind of dropped on his knees and pinned Tatanka 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, Tatanka loses again.
Yeah, it seems like after the winning streak, he's,
losing a lot.
It appears to be so. But I'm going to give this one four, I guess, I don't know, just 4 broken hearts. How about that? I don't have nothing major for this.
Yeah, this was an alright match. I liked it. Also should mention that we had a little bit of an interview with Yokozuna.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and they told him... Yeah. But, so... Yeah, this is an alright match. I liked Owen Hart winning again, and technically he won clean.
Yeah, he did win clean. He didn't do nothing to cheat to win. He just, like I said, he countered that sunset flip. He was actually on the ropes there. Tatanka was definitely winning, beating him up pretty good towards the end of that match. But at the beginning of the match, he had his, spots where he was getting in a lot of stuff on Tatanka. So it was a true back and forth effort. But they made you really believe towards the end Tatanka was going to win this match. And then Owen did that counter and won the match. So nothing dirty, though. There was nothing... He won the match clean.
It was a clean win. Owen Hart wins it. Owen Hart's definitely the one that should have won it, I feel. I mean, no offense to Tatanka, but I'm enjoying seeing this rise of Owen,
Yes.
So I'm going to give this 3.5 rises of Owen.
Rises of Owen, okay. Okay, so before the next match, we get a interview with the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, and Big Daddy Cool Diesel, talking about the upcoming match. Diesel is going to face Bret Hart for the WWF World Heavyweight Championship later on in the show. It was a pretty fun interview. Shawn Michaels doing Shawn Michael things. I enjoyed it very, very much.
Yeah, it's interesting. They're kind of pushing Diesel. I didn't realize they did that this soon.
Yeah, he's now the Intercontinental Champion, and then this is champion versus champion here at King of the Ring. Although they have made it clear on Monday Night Raw that the Intercontinental title is not on the line. Only the WWF World title is on the line. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the next match, which is our last first round qualifying, or I guess it's not a qualifying match, it's a tournament match for the King of the Ring tournament. That is Double J Jeff Jarrett versus 1, 2, 3 Kid. This was another, I thought, fun, exciting match. A lot of high octane flying moves, and the crowd really, really seemed to be into this one as well. I really liked the way this match went. It also had a false finish where you thought Double J was about to win. 1, 2, 3 Kid rolls him up, gets the 1, 2, 3. But what's interesting is that after the match, Jeff Jarrett throws a temper tantrum, spikes 1, 2, 3 Kid 3 times on his head with 3 pile drivers, and then jumps off the rope, another 4 times with like a flying fist. And it sounds like we're going to get a bye with Owen Hart because they're going to say that 1, 2, 3 Kid is not going to be able to perform.
Actually, I'm hoping that they decide to change that, and I'm kind of hoping that 1, 2, 3 Kid comes out there and fights anyways, despite his...
They might, and we'll see what happens.
I'm hoping, because they've done this every single tournament pay-per-view we've watched.
There's always somebody with a bye.
There's always someone with a bye.
Yeah.
Every single time. Just once. I want a full pay-per-view.
There was once...
full tournament.
At WrestleMania, when they did the tournament, I think there was a time limit was reached for one of the matches.
And then there was that
double
stupid
count out.
Double disqualification with Andre and Hulk Hogan. I will never forget that bullshit.
There just seems to always be something that causes us to have a bye in one of these tournaments they decide to perform. And in this case, it was a little different, interesting, which, don't get me wrong, we could still have this match, but they're setting it up to make sure that we don't have this match. Obviously.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely sowing the seeds. I'm just hoping that it's a red herring, a fake out. I'm hoping that we don't have this happen where 1, 2, 3 Kid can't make it to the next match.
So, to keep in tradition with this match, I'm going to go ahead and give this 3.5 pile drivers.
That's what Jeff Jarrett gave 1, 2, 3 Kid.
I know!
No, this was a fun match. I liked this one. I mean, the match... I liked the end. I liked Jeff Jarrett getting angry and just wailing and tearing him apart with these pile drivers, and the refs tried to come in and stop it. The end after the match, and I believe every single one of these tournament matches have been a surprise roll up, or every single one of these has been some kind of interesting end.
Yeah,
every one, and that's kind of cool for. Considering these are the first round of the matches, having more surprise, quick endings instead of an actual final ending. So, I've been enjoying the pay-per-view thus far. At least the endings have been exciting.
Definitely.
Alright, I'm gonna give this 3. 1, 2, 3, ow. For those pile drivers, the 1, 2, 3
I get it with the top of the head pain. Ouch.
Yeah, ow.
Okay, so before the next match, we get an interview with Bret the Hitman Hart, talking about his upcoming match that he's about to perform in, and then we also get, before the match starts, a surprise that Bret Hart has been promising that one of his family members would be at ringside with him, and ends up being Jim the Anvil Neidhart.
Yeah, kind of a cool surprise. It was really a cool surprise. I mean, we haven't seen Jim the Anvil in how many years?
It's been a while. Pretty much since Bret Hart.
I think 91.
Since he's been singles competition, so it's been a couple years for us since we've seen Jim the Anvil Neidhart. But definitely a nice surprise to see him there at the show. And then we get Diesel and Shawn Michaels. They come down. And I'll tell you what, this was a hell of a match. This was a very, very good match. A lot of back and forth. A lot of shenanigans by Shawn Michaels on the outside. I really, really enjoyed a moment where Jim the Anvil was chasing Shawn across the outside area, and then they'd slide through the ring. I really enjoyed that spot. Just a lot of great stuff in this match. And this match did a lot to help put Diesel over without giving him the world title. Unfortunately, Diesel does lose this. Well, actually, technically he wins it, but he wins it by disqualification, so he doesn't win the WWF World Heavyweight Championship. But I just thought this was a very good match. Obviously, it's a Bret Hart match, so you expect a lot. But being that it was against Diesel, that young in his career, and being such a big man, I wasn't sure how this match was going to go. But they went for 22 minutes. I mean, this was a very, very good match. So I'm going to have to give this probably 4.5 jackknife power bombs, because he did get the jackknife on Bret Hart, and Jim the Anvil actually came in and attacked Diesel and caused it to be a disqualification. So he did not win the title because of Jim the Anvil. So it was also interesting knowing that Bret's the face, but Jim the Anvil cheated to keep the title on Bret, which it was very interesting.
In fairness, they didn't play it off like he was trying to cheat. They played it off. Diesel literally just attacked Jim the Anvil
on the outside.
And he was down for a little bit. And when Jim the Anvil got up, he was pissed. So he came running in the ring, and it didn't feel like he was there to stop the jackknife. It felt more like, you just attacked me, I'm attacking back, and I don't care what happens. Like, that's the story that I felt like they were trying to tell there.
Yeah, it was just interesting, the dynamic of, usually when there's cheating involved or a disqualification in that scenario, it's usually the heels that do it, is what my point was.
Oh, no, I get your point.
In this case, it benefited the face. He got to keep the title. You don't see a lot of faces keep the title on a DQ in this way.
I get your point. I just, like I said, I was just pointing out, I just wanted to be clear in case people aren't watching the pay-per-views with us.
People don't watch the pay-per-views while listening to the podcast?
I don't know.
I mean, that should just be
obvious.
Obvious. You should follow along the pay-per-view, and then you hear what we have to say about it. That's just what you should do. That's what makes our podcast so much great.
So much great?
Yeah, I said what I said.
Wow, that is painful. Painful grammar. Okay, so much great. Yes, that would be the ideal way to listen to our podcast, is watch a match, listen to our commentary, boom, boom, boom. Anyways, I was just explaining that they were kind of telling a story that Jim the Anvil Neidhart is a bit of a hothead and was angry about being attacked, and he fought back. I enjoyed this match quite a bit, if nothing else for the antics of Shawn Michaels. There was a time where Shawn is on the apron and Bret Hart punches him, and he just... Shawn oversells everything, and I love it. And he just flies and hits his head on the banister on the outside. Another thing, how we kind of complain about, or mostly you, complain about submission holes and how long they take and stuff like that.
Well, I just think sometimes they drag out a little too long.
Well, on this match... they had a moment where Diesel has Bret Hart up, and he's kind of like, I guess it was a submission, but he was kind of holding him up in the air with one shoulder, and at the same time, you had Jim the Anvil Neidhart arguing with the ref, and you had Shawn Michaels trying to undo the turnbuckle. So, in this instance, we had a decently long submission hold, but action on the outside. So we still had stuff going on while a submission hold was going on. And I thought that was kind of cool. It may be kind of boring or long, but at least you had more of a story being told as it's going on. So I thought that was kind of cool. You had Bret hitting, Shawn Michaels hitting Bret Hart in the back with a belt. This really kind of the start, or not the start, but I mean, we're getting some more feud. I mean, this feud is legendary. I know Shawn didn't fight in this match, but he was essentially part of this feud, even though Diesel was the one actually wrestling.
Right.
So this feud continues. We get another great part of the feud. A lot better than Knights. Yes.
Yeah.
The match that must not be named.
Yeah, I forgot about that already.
That's definitely the low point of their feud. I'm gonna just say that right now, because I don't think there's anything that gets worse than that in their feud. We'll see, but I don't think there is. I don't think it's possible there could be something worse than that match. But yeah, this bunch of antics. I liked. This also includes Shawn, but I liked when Brett had Diesel on the ground and managed to get him into kind of a modified sharpshooter. And Shawn thought everything was in hand, but it was kind of a quick reversal on Brett, and Shawn just turns around and sees that Diesel's in a sharpshooter. Is like, oh shit! That was a pretty fun reaction. Just a lot of entertainment, and a decent match. I enjoyed this quite a bit. I'm going to give this 4. Oh man, what do I give this? 4 Shawn. Holy shits.
Okay.
Just for that expression. It was really cool.
Okay, so the first thing we get here is a Jerry the King Lawler interview, which is, he's always pretty entertaining on the mic. He had a few funny things to say. And then we move on to our second round match in the King of the Ring tournament, Razor Ramon versus IRS. I just thought this match was there. It was okay. Nothing too exciting. Nothing bad. It was just there. So I'm giving it 2.5 Razor's Edges.
Yeah, I mean, the most exciting thing, other than obviously the Razor's Edge at the end of the match, was Razor Ramon grabs IRS's tie and like whips him.
Yeah, that was a fun spot.
Which is kind of surprising. We don't see that more often with Razor or with IRS, you know?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I'm going to give this 2 tie whips.
Okay.
But yeah, this wasn't super.
Like I said, it wasn't bad. It was just short, and it was just there. And sometimes that's just what they give us at this time.
Yeah, it just wasn't super great.
Yep. Okay, so the first thing we get before the next match is Bret the Hitman Hart going all over the locker room area, or really the hallways. You don't really see the locker room. He's opening doors, looking for Jim the Anvil Neidhart. He is pissed off. Even though he retains the title, it doesn't appear he's very happy on how he retained the title.
Yeah, he's not a very happy boy.
No.
It's a little mad.
Yeah, he gets pissy. You ever notice that?
Little pissy.
Bret Hart gets a little pissy. So anyhow, so then we finally get our next match. This is round 2 of the King of the Ring tournament. We get Owen Hart coming out, and the announcers are starting to question if 1, 2, 3 Kid will be able to compete. And just like every King of the Ring before it, in any kind of tournament they've had in a pay-per-view, there always seems to be somebody that gets a bye. So this was the moment we've been waiting for, thinking that Owen Hart was going to get a bye, just like they do every pay-per-view. But to our surprise, 1, 2, 3 Kid comes out limping and actually competes. I was very shocked and very happy. And to be honest, this was a short match, but this was a great match.
Yeah,
what it was.
For a short match, it was pretty good.
Yes,
pretty good.
There was a couple really good spots in that short period of time. The only gripe I really had about this match is a technicality in the rules. Owen Hart did a baseball slide drop kick to start the match and got 1, 2, 3 Kid before he even got into the ring, and then dove like over the top ropes and attacked 1, 2, 3 Kid, and the bell rang. The bell can't ring until both men are in the ring. So that was my understanding of the rules. Maybe the rules have evolved, or maybe they just were a little looser with the rules back then. But I thought that was kind of a screw up. And then there was also another spot where 1, 2, 3 Kid got the 3 count counted. But Owen Hart's foot was on the ropes, and the referee realized it after he'd already counted the 3 and waved it off and said he didn't win. So there was a couple little goofs in this match. But outside of the goofs, the match started exciting. There was a moment where 1, 2, 3 Kid looked like he was going to do like a Frankensteiner, basically what Scott Steiner usually does, like a Frankensteiner and
a Hurricanrana is essentially
or Hurricanrana. That's the word I was looking for. But we've been watching these old podcasts and they've been calling them Frankensteiners, so I lost my train of thought there.
I don't know if they called any of them.
I don't think they've ever called it a Hurricanrana.
They called it that back then.
But that's what you could tell 1, 2, 3 Kid was attempting, and Owen Hart countered it into a vicious power bomb.
That power bomb was rough.
And then he put him into the submission hold and ended up winning the match. The sharpshooter.
The sharpshooter?
Yes, he ended up putting him in the sharpshooter. And
one of the most famous submission moves of all time, yeah?
Come on now. I mean, so, anyhow.
Name a more iconic submission move than the sharpshooter.
The ankle lock.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a few iconic
the
ones.
The STFU.
Shut the fuck up. So, I mean...
The figure 4 leg drop.
There's the Walls of Jericho. That's probably a pretty iconic one. The figure 4 leg drop. Or leg
lock.
Figure 4. But, I mean, right, I feel like sharpshooter figure 4 and the Walls of Jericho are probably the most famous...
Dare I say the crippler?
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that.
We just did.
No, we didn't.
Bum, bum, bum.
I mean, I like the yes lock myself.
So, anyhow, exciting match.
It was fun.
I'm gonna have to give it 4 power bombs.
So there was a moment. Yeah, there was a moment where Rage was kind of shocked, like audibly shocked, because 1, 2, 3 Kid does like a suplex into a pin. And it almost seems like he was going to get the 1, 2, 3, but Owen Hart puts his leg on the rope. And I feel like you made an audible gasp there, because it was a close one. He got the 1, 2, 3, but then the ref noticed the rope, his leg on the rope. So, there was some excitement in this match. That power bomb was devastating.
It was vicious. It was definitely vicious. That was if you're going to do a power bomb, that's the way to do it.
Yeah, and he just, it was painful looking. I'm going to give this 1, 2, 3 and a half near falls.
Oh, okay.
Based on that suplex.
Yeah. I got it.
Yeah.
Okay, before we move on to the next match, we have a service announcement from the Rage and Blade show. We would like to let all of you cool cats and kittens out there to know to not do drugs. Don't do drugs. It's not worth it. It is just, it'll ruin your life, change your perception of the world. Now, having said that, let's talk about this last interview segment by Rowdy Piper.
Fucking Carol Baskins. We're like a year late on that one.
I don't care. It fit the segment. So anyhow,
that's not cool cats and kittens. That's not frogs.
No, I'm just trying to say. That was batshit crazy.
Yeah.
Carol Baskins is batshit crazy.
And so is that segment.
Wow. That segment literally looked like Rowdy Piper was asked, could you, go do a promo, and he couldn't be bothered to do it, so he stayed in his locker room, and then the cameras came to him, and he's like, okay, you want a show? Here, I'll give you a show! And so he just said and did whatever he wanted while he was changing his clothes.
I think Rowdy Piper decided to take promo tips from Ultimate Warrior.
He was all over the place on that.
It was weird.
Although it was not as weird as the Ultimate Warriors.
Not as weird, but, it's like he took little pieces here and there from an Ultimate Warrior promo.
He got sidetracked really easily while talking there, didn't he?
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you get a chance, King of the Ring, 1994, definitely go check out this Rowdy Piper promo. It is batshit crazy.
It's great. It's insane.
Like I said, this has been a public service announcement by the Rage and Blaze Show. Don't do drugs. Let's move on to the
It was entertaining, though. It was fun.
Oh, it was a good time.
It was a good time.
I just think there was other chemically balanced things involved in the help of that.
Fair enough.
Okay, let's go. Okay, so the next match is a tag team match for the WWF World Heavyweight Tag Team Championships. It is Yokozuna and Crush versus the Head Shrinkers, which are the new tag team champions. And this was a pretty good match. It wasn't... I don't think it wasn't overly exciting, but it wasn't bad. There were some fun spots in this. Kind of ended with a little bit of an interference with Lex Luger coming out, and he's continuing his feud with Crush. Now,
it's Crush? I thought he was coming out for Yokozuna.
No, he's coming out for Crush for the distraction. I don't know. I'd probably give this 3.5 striped singlets.
Yeah, Lex Luger's outfit was horrendous, I think is the correct term here. Horrendous.
Yeah, I don't know how you go backwards with your outfit. He had a pretty decent look.
Yeah, I mean, it was just pandering to the crowd is what it was. Just, they're trying to make him the all-American hero.
But that wasn't even red, white, and blue.
No, I'm talking about his old outfit.
Yeah. But it looked like a good outfit.
It looked way better than that, whatever that was.
This looks like a generic wrestler coming out there.
It does.
It doesn't have any kind of star power into the outfit at all. It's like they have, at this point in his career, it's like the WWF and Vince McMahon has just given up on Lex Luger, and I think
they did.
Obviously they did.
Well, I think we talked about it. Lex Luger's not that good. There's a reason why he wasn't... They made a mistake making him a face. I think, number one, that was the mistake. He's not a good face. He was pretty good as the narcissist. I liked him as the narcissist. Using his power, being just very cocky. I thought he was good in that role. He's not good as a face.
The match wasn't even with Lex Luger, so what did you think of the match?
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I thought it was a weird pairing. Like, why do you have the Head Shrinkers face Yokozuna versus Crush? Like, it was just a weird match. Like, I didn't understand why these two were facing off. Kind of a weird ending, I guess. I mean, I don't mind some distractions, but I don't know. It was just... I wasn't much of a fan. It was kind of a lackluster... I mean, it wasn't offensively bad or anything. It just was like, why is this happening? You know?
Okay.
I didn't understand it. I didn't care for it. I am going to give it 2.5. Man, that outfit is ugly.
That is the truth.
That had nothing to do with the match.
Had nothing to do with the match, but that's the only thing I could think of after the match was over is how god awful that.
Yeah, why are you wearing
was.
that?
It's like, why are you wearing that? That's
man, you need to fire your agent. Whoever does your costuming needs to be fired on the spot. Like, why did you think that was what you wanted to wear to a pay-per-view?
Well, this is the first time we've seen him in a singlet like that too. I mean, he's always had...
it wasn't the singlet that those...
He's always had just trunks and, you know what I mean? So, yeah, just overall, this is just odd. Well, let's just move on from this. Okay, so the next match is the final match of the King of the Ring tournament. Razor Ramon versus Owen Hart. I'm a little surprised that this match is... coming up now and is not the main event.
It should be the main event.
Which means the main event is going to be Jerry the King Lawler versus Rowdy Piper.
Don't get me wrong, I love Rowdy Piper, but this should be the main event at King of the Ring.
And if it wasn't, it's surprised that Diesel versus Bret Hart wasn't the main event.
Exactly.
So it's just very weird booking.
I think there's a reason for that one, though. I think that has a lot to do with they were wanting to tease the Jim the Anvil Neidhart thing. Like, he attacks, but they made it seem like, oh, he was just mad.
Right.
And caused the disqualification, but later on you find out, oh no, he went heel.
Yeah, so it's just a very odd booking decision, just the way they place these matches. Hopefully this Rowdy Piper versus Jerry Lawler will be a good match. Just surprised it's the main event. Both guys are probably well out of their prime. But who knows? Maybe to get Rowdy Piper back, he had to be the main event. Who knows?
I mean, that's very possible. I suppose that it could be a contract thing. I mean, they haven't really given Rowdy the showcasing he deserves. Like, I feel like Rowdy never became the star that he should have been, because he was fantastic. Could be because he goes blackface here and there. That could have kept him down a little, maybe. I don't know, but
could have. Might have hurt his prospects.
Perhaps. But I don't feel like they cared back then.
So, what I'd have to say about this match is we've seen Owen Hart wrestle 3 matches in this show. We've also seen Razor Ramon wrestle in 3 matches. And this was probably, I would say, Owen Hart's worst of the 3. This match really wasn't that exciting, believe it or not. I expected a little bit more out of these two being top stars. Obviously, Razor had a worse match with IRS, but this was definitely Owen's worst of the 3 matches. But
Owen's been very impressive.
Yeah, Owen had...
It's not so much that he was bad in this match as it is...
It just wasn't as impressive as the other two.
Yeah, his other two were
He had
better.
a really, really good one with Tatanka, a short but really good one with 1-2-3 Kid. And unfortunately, maybe just after 3 matches, it's just hard to keep that up. But I just thought this was just lackluster in comparison. That's all I have to really say about this
Razor
match.
did get what looked like a bit of a rock bottom earlier.
Oh, yes, we forgot to mention that.
I didn't forget, I just mentioned it.
We did get to see the first ever that we have seen, anyhow, somebody doing what appeared to be the rock bottom, but they didn't. The announcers never really gave it a name.
Well, I don't think it would be called the rock bottom at this time.
Well, maybe that's where he got his name, was based off the move. You never know.
No, he was named after his dad, Rocky Maivia.
I'm just saying, you never know. But anyhow, I would definitely, that gives me a good idea. I'm going to give this 3 rock bottoms.
3 rock bottoms. Yeah, I think I'm a little higher on this match than you. I thought it was decent. And where the other match, I thought the interference was a little odd with Lex Luger. This one, I liked the surprise heel turn. We got a legit heel turn in this match. Not from the two competitors, but from Jim the Anvil Neidhart when he comes up. He's the reason Owen Hart wins. He comes out. It looks like he's trying to pick Razor Ramon up, and then he clotheslines him, and then throws him in the ring.
Yeah, and Owen wins this on a flying elbow, which was a surprise. But I guess you can only do the sharpshooter so many times. I mean, you don't want to end every match the same way. Right, and you also don't want to have a top star like Razor Ramon tapping out.
Yeah, so I'm going to give this 3.5 anvils. Because go Jim.
Yeah.
Go Jim.
So then he gets the coronation ceremony afterwards. You also get a little interview with Bret Hart saying he don't want to talk about it. He don't want to talk about the events that just happened. But Owen Hart declares himself not just the King of the Ring, but the King of Hearts. Very interesting. Very fun play on words there. But definitely a deserving King of the Ring winner. It appears that this is going to be a Hart family tradition, that King of the Ring is just going to be a Bret Hart.
Jim's going to win next.
Jim's going to win next year. Jim the Anvil Neidhart. So it's just going to stay in the Hart family, which is what royalty is supposed to be anyhow, is a bloodline. So it appears that's what we're getting here, is a bloodline.
Right. We got Owen Hart. He's yelling at the people there that's saying, I don't want you crowning me. He's like, I want it from the only person in my family that I can trust. And he has Jim the Anvil Neidhart give him the robe, the scepter, the crown, because that's the only Hart family person he can trust is Jim the Anvil Neidhart. And he was very sweaty, and he got that crown on him.
This is true. Okay, so that is going to do it for that. We are going to move on to our main event, and hopefully it's a good one. I'm excited to see Rowdy Piper back, but I'm a little shocked that this is the main event. But hopefully it proves us wrong.
It's partial shock for me, and partial, it's just wrong. It shouldn't be done. It should be the King of the Ring tournament finale. That should have been the finale.
I agree.
Not to mention, give Owen a little bit more time of a break. Throw that match in there.
There's
give him
always
a break.
there's always that argument too.
He was in there 3 freaking times. Give him a little bit of break and be the main event. I think a lot of this has to do with they just weren't comfortable making Owen the main event.
Maybe.
I think that's what it was.
Very possible. Okay, so before the main event, we get a video package showing some of the King's Court segments that we've been seeing on Monday Night Raw leading up to the King of the Ring, and showing some of Rowdy Piper's video clips of his video interviews he's been sending in. He hasn't been at WWF, but he's been sending in these video messages
from Hollywood.
He was working on a movie or something. I'd have to look see what movie it was. But
Jerry the King Lawler likes to face people from Hollywood.
So anyhow, after we get that, we get Jerry the King Lawler coming down, and then we get bagpipes playing. They all march to the ring with drums and bagpipes, and then of course Rowdy Piper comes out. And there was a segment on Monday Night Raw where Jerry Lawler brought out this really skinny kid, and he did a Rowdy Piper impression during this segment.
Good impression.
Yeah, it was a pretty good impression. And then Rowdy Piper brought that same kid out with him to the ring to be at ringside with him because he felt that Jerry Lawler embarrassed this kid.
Well, didn't he beat him up too?
I think so. I think he beat him up after the segment. Jerry Lawler beat the kid up.
That's what I meant.
Yeah. So anyhow, so they come down to the ring, and the match itself was okay. wasn't horrible. It was very old school wrestling. A lot of brawling more than actual wrestling match.
Yeah.
Moves being done. They definitely played on the kid being at ringside a lot. Matter of fact, towards the end of the match, Jerry Lawler had put his legs up on the ropes to get the 1, 2, 3 over Rowdy Piper, but before the ref counted the 3, the kid actually pushed Lawler's feet off the ropes so Piper could escape the pin, and then did a very awkward and slow roll-up.
The roll-up wasn't so much the slow part.
It was weird. It was the referee.
The referee was like playing up an injury, I guess.
Yeah.
That he got knocked out during the match. So he went really slow with Lawler's pin too. And then I love how they go really slow on the pin, and when the kid realizes that Piper's not going to kick out, like, he just waits patiently for these really slow counts and waits till right before the third count to knock Lawler's legs down.
Yeah, I almost thought it was going to be a screw up. It happened. The 3 count happened almost bang bang. It was odd, but they did it. So I'd have to give this match probably 3 skinny Piper impersonations.
This is a very disappointing main event, in my opinion. Like, I was hoping that something bigger was going to happen, considering this was the main event and not the King of the Ring tournament final match, which should have been the main event. And this match really reinforced that fact that they should have been the main event. It should have been Owen and Razor Ramon.
Yeah, I completely agree. Even though that wasn't the best of matches either, but at least
still
it
better
should
than this
have.
one.
It should have been the main event. And then after this match ends, we get a small little segment with Shawn Michaels and Diesel in the locker room, where Shawn's telling Diesel, "You'll get the title. You were so close."
Yeah, it was just foreshadowing that rivalry's not over.
Yeah, it was just kind of an odd situation because you literally are ending the show with these guys in the locker room talking. It's just kind of odd. So what did you score this?
I'm going to probably give this 2.5 Slowpoke Rodriguez, the referees.
Okay, fair enough.
Because that's how that referee felt.
So we haven't mentioned this the whole show, but now that we're at the end of the show, I felt like I wanted to do exactly what Macho Man and Gorilla Monsoon did for the whole duration of the show. And we kind of ignored something in the podcast, kind of like they ignored. There was a third commentator in this show. He is a Hall of Fame football player from the Baltimore Colts, Art Donovan. And there was literally moments that the guy would say some weird off-the-wall stuff, and Macho Man and Gorilla Monsoon literally just ignored him and pretended like he didn't say a word. So I felt that was the best route of telling our viewers that there was a third commentator, was ignoring him the majority of the show.
I didn't know who he was.
No, I didn't know he was either. He's way before our time of watching football, but he is in the Pro
If he
Football
played on the
Hall of Fame.
Baltimore Colts, we've never seen the Baltimore Colts in our lifetime, so...
This is true. Well, he was inducted in the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1968.
Yeah, that was 15 years before I was even born?
Right. So, we didn't know who the guy was, but he did not know wrestling at all. It showed. He was asking odd questions during the match. Macho Man was doing literally... He was making fun of the guy during it.
Hey, Macho, what's a body slam?
Yeah, it was kind of like that. It was very odd. The one time he asked, he's like, when I think it was Owen Hart was in the ring, beating up on Razor Ramon with Jim the Anvil Neidhart, and he's like, "Hey, did you two act like that while you were in the ring? And Macho Man and Gorilla just kept talking about what they wanted to talk about and didn't even answer him.
They were probably like, Vince, why the hell did you give this guy? We don't want to deal with him.
But this guy obviously did not know anything about the business. He was there because they were in Baltimore and he was a football legend in the town.
Okay, I guess that's who you're appealing to, but...
You're appealing to the Baltimore fans, which in 1994, there wasn't a Baltimore team in 1994. No. The Browns hadn't moved there yet to become the Ravens.
That's correct. That was
the Colts had already moved to Indianapolis by that point. So yeah, it's just kind of an odd situation. But
get an Oriole.
But it did lead to some comedic things because Macho Man, when the guy would finally say something that made more sense, like during the main event, for example, he said, I think Piper might be in trouble. Macho Man surprisingly looked at him and goes, yeah, Donovan, I think you're right. Oh, yeah, he might be in trouble. You're right. It's like he pointed out when he finally said something of significance or at least of relevancy to what they were watching. But most of the time
when he
was
actually
just
talked about a wrestling thing that happened.
But yeah, it was just an odd.
That's something
pairing.
you do at Raw when you go to Baltimore, not at a pay-per-view.
I completely agree. It was like I said, it was a complete...
Or maybe just for one match.
Yeah, it was, for the whole show is just awkward. But anyhow, that does it for our King of the Ring 1994 coverage, and let's go ahead and talk about our favorites, our worst, and I guess we should rank King of the Ring 1 and 2.
All right.
Favorite match of the night.
Okay, so my favorite match of the night is gonna have to go to the World Heavyweight Championship between Diesel versus Bret the Hitman Hart. I thought there was actually a lot of good, solid matches, but that was definitely probably the best of the show. If that 1, 2, 3 Kid and Owen Hart match would have lasted a little longer, I might have scored it a little higher, and I might have put that up at the top. But because of how short it was, I'm just going to have to stick with the World Heavyweight title match.
You know what? I'm probably going to go ahead and agree with you. I feel like some of the Owen Hart matches definitely had a chance, but I'm going to have to stick with that Hart versus Tatanka, though. No, I'm going to stick with the Diesel versus Bret Hart. Had a lot of fun spots to it. Had good story to it. We got to see Diesel become more of a main eventer. I'm going to go with that one.
Okay.
Worst match of the night.
Okay, so worst match of the night, I kind of have it down to 2 matches. The IRS versus Mabel match, or the Razor Ramon versus IRS match. I both gave that a 2.5. I'm going to have to go with IRS versus Mabel.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I'm debating on the IRS. IRS versus Mabel is definitely my lowest. But King versus Piper was very disappointed, but I didn't exactly hate the match, so I'm not sure. I don't think it's deserving of worst match, even though I was very disappointed with it. But I think I'm going to agree with you with IRS versus Mabel. I think IRS versus Mabel was probably the worst match of the night.
Yeah. Okay.
King of the Ring,
Rankings. Okay, so now that we've done 2 King of the Ring shows, we can go ahead and rank these. And I'm going to do something a little different we have never done before. And I'm going to rank the first show, King of the Ring, 1993, over the second King of the Ring, 1994. I don't think one was so much over the top better than the other. I'm kind of basing my decision off of the Mr. Perfect versus Bret Hart match that we had that was an absolute classic. I thought the rest of the show was just, that average good at times. There wasn't nothing horribly offensively bad. I mean, I just kind of felt that last King of the Ring had a few better matches. But this was these were both on par with each other. But I'm just going to have to give the slight edge over to the first King of the Ring, 1993.
I think I can kind of agree with that. Like, I was trying to debate it on mostly, I was kind of debating on doing it mostly by who won King of the Ring. And I do like that Owen Hart wins this King of the Ring. I thought that was really cool. But you're right. That Perfect versus Shawn Michaels match was freaking fantastic, and I also like Bret Hart winning it. So I'm going to agree with you. King of the Ring 1, 1993, better than 1994. 1-2.
Yep, sounds good to me. All right, so before we close out this show, we just went to an event the other day that we kind of like to talk about. We went to a movie premiere that was actually filmed in our local community. Yeah. We live in the area where we're close to the Mansfield Reformatory in Mansfield, Ohio, and they filmed a new movie there. It's called Escape from Death Block 13. And filming was done there at the Reformatory. Some filming was done in Galion, Ohio, Crestline, Ohio, and Bucyrus, Ohio. So there was definitely a few different spots in our local area that there was some filming done in. And one of the cool, exciting things about this was we have some local wrestlers like the Nightmare Jimmy Lee, Izzy Lambert, Random Pain, Madman Fulton, who works for Impact Wrestling now. He used to work for WWE in the NXT. He was a part of the Sanity stable with Eric Fulton. Young, Sawyer Fulton in the WWE. So a bunch of these guys who wrestled here or still wrestle here, some of them still wrestle here locally. Some of these guys were in the movies. The movie is Some of the Prisoners. So it does have a wrestling,
Oh, there was quite a few wrestlers.
Wrestling feel here. And then, of course, the big thing is that our stepdad, Tim Soulsgiver, he actually had himself a non-speaking role. He was one of the guards, and he got himself blown up in the movie.
He had an awesome death scene.
Awesome death scene. So that was exciting to see, but we went to the private screening for that because of Tim being in the movie. We were invited to the private screening to see that, and that was a really fun time. We got to meet some of these guys, definitely Madman Fulton. We got his autograph and a picture taken with him. So this was really cool. And hopefully you guys check out Slammiversary. He definitely wanted to make sure we knew that Slammiversary was coming up here, and he definitely wanted us to check that out.
Possible insider knowledge. He also mentioned that he's become friends with Hurricane Helms.
Yeah,
and
so
Helms,
who knows where that could lead.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens there. But anyhow, it was a really fun night getting to see a local movie filmed right here in our hometown. And seeing all them wrestlers involved was really cool. And seeing our stepdad involved was really awesome as well.
I knew a couple of people in the movie.
Yeah, I found out one of the guys I work with at the factory, he was in it too. So that was kind of cool.
Guy that I met recently, he goes by House. I met him been going out to karaoke with a friend of mine, and she's friends with him. And he was in the movie as the psycho doctor.
Oh, okay.
He was the psycho doctor, and he's also done work with Kevin Smith, who I absolutely love. He worked on Tusk and Yoga Hosers. So that's pretty cool.
Cool. That's awesome news to hear. But yeah, if you want, check that movie out. I don't know if there's an official release date yet, but it's supposed to be in theaters sometime around September, and it should be on streaming services in November. When we get more details on the dates and what streaming services and what theaters, we'll definitely keep you updated. But definitely check that movie out. It's, like I said, it supports wrestlers because there's a bunch of wrestlers in it. So that's a really cool thing to be involved with. Okay, so all we got left to do is plug the pluggables and end the show.
Yeah, and you can find me on Dragon Blazer Production on the Facebooks, the Instagrams, and the YouTube. And you can find me on Dragon Blazer Pro on the Twitter. And I must plead again. We like those 5 stars. Give us those 5 stars. 5. Give us a rating, review, subscribe. Help this podcast get noticed.
Yeah, help it grow.
Get on that Apple podcast, and just give us those 5 stars.
5 time. So you can find the Rage and Blaze Show Facebook page on, of course, Facebook. You can find at the Rage and Blaze Show on Instagram and at Ricky Rayberg on Twitter. So that's going to do it for our King of the Ring 1994 coverage. We will be back on our next episode to cover, I believe it would be SummerSlam 1994. So that should be a fun one. And this has been the Rage and Blaze Show. I'm Rage.
And I'm Blaze.
And good night from Rage's Pit. And here is your winners, and still podcast tag team champions of the world, the Rage and Blaze Show. Thank you for listening.
Hey everyone, this is Blaze from the Rage and Blaze and the Boomer and Blaze Show. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe for more wrestling content.